So I did Miranda v. Arizona. The background of this case was Ernesto Miranda was a suspected rapist and kidnapper of an 18-year-old girl. On March 13th, 1963, he was brought into the police station for questioning. The appellant side was Ernesto Miranda himself, and he claimed that when he was interrogated by the police, after only 2 hours, he signed a confession. However, he believed that he was never told his Fifth or Sixth Amendment rights. Therefore, his confession should not have been used as valid evidence against him in court. The respondent side was the state of Arizona, and they claimed that Miranda never asked for an attorney, therefore one wasn't provided for him. They also assumed that Miranda knew his rights because he had been in the system before, but in reality, he had not been told his rights, and he did not know what they were. The timeline of events was on June 12th, 1963. The trial began in the Arizona District Courts. The verdict was that he was guilty of kidnapping and raping an 18-year-old girl. On June 12th, 1965, Alvin Moore, Miranda's lawyer, helped him file an appeal to the Arizona Supreme Court. Unfortunately, they denied the request. Therefore, Miranda decided to request a review of the case to the U.S. Supreme Court. November 15th, 1965, U.S. Supreme Court agreed to hear his case. On January 23rd, 1966, his lawyers John Flynn and John Frank argued that Miranda's Sixth Amendment right to counsel were violated, and later they added that Miranda's Fifth Amendment rights were also violated. February 28th, 1966, that was the first day of the case in the U.S. Supreme Court. They sided with Miranda, which meant that Miranda's confession should not have been used as admissible evidence in court. June 13th, 1966 is the date that everyone sees because that's the day that the decision was released to the public. Miranda won with a majority of 5-4 vote. The verdict was that Miranda's Fifth Amendment and Sixth Amendment rights were violated, thus remanding the case back to Arizona for retrial. The date of the retrial was March 1st, 1967, and even though they excluded his confession, they still deemed him guilty because of the testimony of his ex-wife, and therefore he was sentenced to 23 years in prison. The majority opinion was written by Chief Justice Earl Warren. He wrote that the defendant must be informed that they have the right to remain silent and that anything they say can be used against them in a court of law. Also, the defendant has a right to an attorney, and if they can't afford one will be appointed for them prior to questioning. In addition, anything obtained during the interrogation cannot be used against the defendant unless they knowingly waived. In this case, there were 2 amendments that were involved, the Fifth and the Sixth. The Fifth one regards self-incrimination, and in the Constitution it reads, "Nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself." The Sixth Amendment regards the right to an attorney, and in the Constitution it reads, "and to have assistance of counsel for his defense." The significance of this case was that after the verdict was made in Miranda's favor, amendments became more specific. Before this case, the law said that they should know their rights, but was not enforced. Afterward, it became a requirement that all defendants must be read all of their rights in all circumstances. My opinion is that I completely agree with the court's final decision because if the suspects aren't aware of their rights, they're being put at a major disadvantage that can potentially ruin their lives forever. Since Miranda won the case, people are now able to get a fair trial because they are told all of their rights. The lasting importance, this case is still applicable in today's world because if you are brought to questioning, if you are arrested, or if anything, you have to be read your Miranda rights. In 1972, Ernesto Miranda was paroled from jail, and he started selling these cards, which is shown at the right. He signed them and sold them for $1.50. Thank you for watching.